Gotham City, a name synonymous with darkness, crime, and chaos. Its skyline, often punctuated by the bat signal, reflects a deeply ingrained struggle with lawlessness. A city riddled with systemic corruption, stark inequality, and a palpable sense of decay. Like Matt Reeves' 2022 film The Batman, one of the things HBO's new series The Penguin captures so well is how Gotham's criminal underworld is not simply a collection of evil individuals and malice, but a reflection of the city's rampant corruption, structural failings, and deep-rooted social ills. Gotham's criminal landscape is as diverse as its population. From petty thieves like Vic, to criminal masterminds like the Riddler, and to the corrupt political elite. In Gotham, crime permeates almost every level of society, yet it's the city's most vulnerable citizens who are often caught in a vicious cycle of poverty, crime, and despair. In this episode, we'll explore how Gotham's unique environment creates a breeding ground for crime by first examining the city's societal problems through the sociological lenses of strain theory and labeling theory, and then analyzing how these macro-level variables intersect with individual psychological components such as gaslighting, attachment theory, psychopathy, and the dark triad personality traits, and also explore the enduring debate of nature versus nurture.
It's been a week since the terrorist known as the Riddler blew up Gotham's seawall, and as the death toll climbs, Gotham residents are demanding answers from authorities.
While the wealthier suburbs have been spared, it's Gotham's poorest neighborhoods that have been hit the hardest, especially in Crown Point.
Looting and rioting have become the norm. Combined with the scarcity of illicit drugs and an increase in gang warfare, the city has reached a boiling point.
As these news reports make clear, the flood has exacerbated the deep inequalities that already existed, creating a breeding ground ripe for deviance. To begin understanding how this leads to crime, we first turn to the sociological concept of strain theory. First developed by American sociologist Robert K. Merton, strain theory argues that crime and deviance arise when there is a disconnect between culturally valued goals such as wealth, status, and success, and the legitimate means available to achieve them. When individuals perceive that society structures deny them these legitimate paths, they may turn to criminal behavior as an alternative way to achieve those goals or to cope with their frustration. In this series, Oz understands this frustration perfectly. He capitalizes on the city's inequality, rallying the forgotten and the desperate. In the following scene, watch how Oz uses this sense of being shut down to unite the city's criminal factions.
Because you mean nothing to them. They don't give a fuck about any of you all. You know, not even a mile from here, there's a bunch of big-time city hall fucks. They're sitting in some fancy private club, they're drinking orange wine, they're making crooked deals to benefit them, those soft-bellied pricks. They run this whole fucking city. Why the hell not us?
Oz's speech is all about exploiting this strain. He's not just talking about random crime, he's tapping into a deep-seated resentment against the system that's rigged against them. He's offering them an alternative path to success, a way to take back what's theirs, even if it means violence. In Gotham, this disconnect is glaring. The city's wealthy elite, living in luxurious penthouses, often turn a blind eye to the plight of the less fortunate, exacerbating the divide. Meanwhile, in the dilapidated neighborhoods of the inner city and neglected back alleys, opportunities are scarce and poverty is pervasive. This glaring disparity creates an immense pressure on those at the bottom of the social ladder. For many in Gotham, the traditional path to success, education, employment, and upward social mobility seem like an impossible dream. The societal conditions and structural failings deny its underclass access to quality education, healthcare, and job opportunities. This sense of hopelessness and frustration can lead to criminal behavior as a way to achieve their goals, or simply to survive. Characters like Vic, who come from what Oz calls nothing, exemplify this struggle. Vic's story is one of a struggling working-class family with a father who has good intentions, but appears to have everything stacked against him. When Vic's familial support system is both figuratively and literally wiped away during the events of the seawall flood, his descent into crime becomes almost inevitable. Remember, Vic doesn't want to be a criminal. He's not like Oz or Sofia who seek power or revenge. Vic just wants to survive. But not only does he lack access to opportunities to get ahead, he doesn't even have a familial support system to fall back on. Vic's story, and those like him from Gotham's underclass, exemplify the concept of strain theory, as the struggles they face force them to take what they want through criminal means to climb Gotham's rigid social ladder, a situation ripe for manipulation in the hands of someone like the Penguin, which we will explore later. While strain theory explains how systemic pressures push individuals toward crime, labeling theory highlights how societal reactions trap them in that identity. Primarily developed by sociologist Howard Becker in his seminal work, Outsiders, Studies in the Sociology of Deviance, this theory posits that societal labels, particularly negative ones like criminal or deviant, can significantly influence an individual's behavior. When someone is labeled as a deviant, they may internalize that label, seeing themselves through the lens of society's judgment. This internalization often leads to a self-fulfilling prophecy where the person begins to act in accordance with the label, reinforcing the stigma and perpetuating the cycle of deviance. In Gotham, rampant corruption and discrimination make this process all too common. The criminal justice system, riddled with inefficiency and plagued by bribery, often perpetuates this cycle, and once labeled as criminals, face significant barriers to reintegrating into society. The media, often sensationalizing crime and demonizing those accused, further reinforces these negative labels. This constant bombardment of negative stereotypes creates a climate of fear and mistrust, making it even harder for those labeled as criminals to break free from the cycle. Sofia Falcone's story illustrates the damage such labels can inflict. After being wrongfully accused and institutionalized as the hangman, thanks in part to corrupt government officials and police officers on her father's payroll, Sofia becomes a pariah, vilified by the media and abandoned by her family. This labeling isolates her, exacerbates her trauma, and ultimately pushes her further into the cycle of violence and revenge. But Sofia's story doesn't end with societal stigma. Her father Carmine's emotional abuse and relentless gaslighting, topics we'll explore in the next section, compound the effects of labeling and its psychological impacts.
I spoke to Kenzie. Summer Gleason has been working with the police. There's an open investigation. They're looking into me for murder. Murder, Sofia. Some hookers at the club. Why didn't you come to me?
I should have. You're right.
Do you think I did these things?
No, of course not. And I know that there is an explanation.
An explanation for what?
But I know that I know they weren't from her. You know, I know that. They were from something else. I don't know what, but something. Right?
Right. Sweet Sofia. What has happened to you? You're clearly not yourself. You're confused, sick. I think you need to leave before you make a scene.
Carmine Falcone's psychological abuse of Sofia, particularly his manipulations surrounding the murder of her mother, exemplifies the insidious power of gaslighting within a familial relationship. But first, to better understand the depths of his actions, let's first define what exactly gaslighting is and its psychological implications. The term gaslighting has become widely popularized and often misused in recent years, so it's important to start by defining what gaslighting does not mean. Gaslighting does not refer to situations where someone simply disagrees with you or has a different perspective. Though often mislabeled as gaslighting, these scenarios reflect simple disagreement, not deliberate manipulation. In a clinical sense, gaslighting refers to the deliberate and sustained pattern of manipulation designed to make someone doubt their own perceptions, memories, and reality. It involves a calculated effort by the manipulator to distort the truth, leaving the victim disoriented, dependent, and increasingly uncertain of their own judgment. The term originated from the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into questioning her sanity by subtly altering their home's gas lamps and denying that the changes are happening.
If I could only get inside that brain of yours and understand what makes you do these crazy, twisted things.
Gregory, are you trying to tell me I'm insane?
It's what I'm trying not to tell myself.
But that's what you think, isn't it? That's what you've been hinting and suggesting for months now, ever since...
Since what?
Since the day I lost your brooch.
Dr. Robin Stern later conceptualized the phenomenon in her book, The Gaslight Effect, which outlines how gaslighting often occurs in personal relationships, workplaces, and even broader societal contexts. At its core, gaslighting is far more than lying or disagreement. It is a sustained and intentional tactic to erode someone's sense of reality, almost always as a tool for power and control. Gaslighting becomes particularly dangerous when wielded by someone in a position of power. And in Gotham City, Carmine Falcone demonstrates how it can be weaponized within a familial relationship as he systematically manipulates his daughter Sofia to serve his own ends. Upon discovering that Sofia suspects him of her mother's murder, and that he is, in fact, the notorious hangman responsible for the brutal strangulation of several women, Carmine initiates a calculated campaign of psychological manipulation to distort her reality.
Yeah. What has happened to you? You're clearly not yourself. You're confused, sick.
In a manner reminiscent of Gregory's manipulation of Alice in the classic film Gaslight, Carmine systematically undermines Sofia's sanity by twisting her memories. He goes so far as to convince almost everyone that Sofia is the hangman, when, in reality, it was Carmine himself who had killed his wife and countless other women. This campaign culminates in Sofia's institutionalization at Arkham Asylum, an act that isolates her and shatters her psyche. Abuse from inmates and mistreatment by sadistic psychiatrists and corrupt officials exacerbates her trauma and accelerates her descent into cruelty.
You okay, Sofia? People are gonna start to get ideas.
Sweet Sofia, what's happened to you? You're clearly not yourself.
No!
Hey! Let him go!
You're confused, sick.
I need help.
Sofia's story raises a deeply unsettling question. How much of her descent into darkness was shaped by her father's manipulation and the abuse she suffered at Arkham, and how much of it was already within her, just waiting to surface? And as for Oz, is his ruthlessness a product of his upbringing or a part of his nature? To truly understand the making of Gotham's criminal minds, we must explore the interplay between innate traits and environmental forces. In Part 2, we'll dive into these questions, examining the psychological and behavioral science behind Gotham's most infamous characters. From the foundations of attachment theory to the complexities of psychopathy, the dark triad personality traits, and the enduring debate of nature versus nurture, we'll uncover the forces that shape Gotham's criminal underworld.